I want to share with you in this video all the equipment that I bring to every single show, and I hope that you might be able to gather some information on equipment you might need for when you're playing your first show or your 20th show or 100th show at a senior community. Of course, I bring my guitar to every single show, but there's a few components that I bring with my guitar. I bring a spare set of strings every single show. Actually, I have 2 or 3 in my briefcase. I bring a spare set of strings. I bring a thumb pick, and half a dozen of these are also in my briefcase. I also bring a capo to the show, and I bring a snark. And this is just a tuner that goes on the top of my guitar and senses the vibrations of the notes so that I'm able to tune pretty quickly on the fly. So I'm just gonna put these, I typically have these resting right here during the show on top of the neck as I'm doing my thing. I bring a cart that is stacked with several pieces of equipment that I find myself needing every single show. And I bring a microphone stand. I bring 2 stools that one I set my amplifier on top of, and the other stool I sit on. I'd recommend you do the same thing so the activity director is not scrambling around the room looking for a place for you to sit. Also, if you find yourself playing an acoustic guitar, the chairs that they typically give you have armrests, and the chairs that they typically give you have armrests, and if you move around a lot like me, you end up banging the edge of your guitar on that armrest or the neck of your guitar. So I bring my own stool. It helps for the fluidity of the song and allowing me a little bit more freedom to look around and move around and try to essentially dance in my seat as I'm really grooving to the songs that I'm playing. For a show at a senior community, I do a hard connection between my guitar and the amplifier, meaning there's an instrument cable that comes out from my pickup in the guitar and connects into my amplifier. And I do the same thing with my microphone. I have a simple microphone I attach to my microphone stand. I use an XLR cable, attach that to the microphone, spin it around the microphone stand until it goes all the way up and around and behind me and right back in the amp. So hard connections on each one. An alternative to that would be a wireless or a Bluetooth. And I've tried that in several situations, and they work sometimes if you want a lot of freedom during the show, but I find that they're not as reliable. Sometimes I use a wireless connection for my guitar, and I do have freedom to get up and walk around and move a lot more, but every once in a while the connection does a little hiccup, or you hear a little bit of a volume surge, or maybe I didn't charge it enough and the battery goes out. And if you find that happening with the wireless connection, it's really hard to get your audience back. You've been building momentum through your whole set and your whole song. You're finally at this song and then you hear the volume cut out or something. So I've had that happen to me enough times to know that I might want to have an instrument cable as a backup if my wireless connection doesn't work, and eventually I've just been using an instrument cable to connect my guitar to my amplifier. You might find yourself needing the same thing too. I bring a backup microphone XLR cable. I also bring a backup instrument cable just in case, either one doesn't work or there's a connection that is malfunctioning, or it's always good to have systems of redundancy in place so the show can go on, whether you find yourself with a kind of a shifty piece of equipment or not. To this show, I also bring my harmonica, and I also bring a spare capo and a spare snark with spare batteries for this little snark and a spare battery for the pickup that's in my guitar. So I have a 9-volt battery that goes in my guitar. I also bring a spare of that. And I have one of those little tiny silver disc batteries. I'm not sure what they're called, but they go inside this guitar tuner. So in case I find myself outside, I need a brighter screen, I need to replace the battery, I bring that as well. I also bring the power cord to my amplifier, that's curled up with an extension cord and the instrument cable and the microphone cable. I coil those all together and I put that in my briefcase. I have a spare microphone, and the brand of the microphone is Shure. I think it's S-H-U-R-E, and I have 2 of those. And I bring a Fishman Loudbox Artist Edition. And I'll put the stats in this video as well, what the sound requirements that I typically count on for every single show. That's pretty much it. Other than the cart that I physically stack everything on and wheel into the show, that's everything that I bring into the show. A lot of times I see other musicians bring in these huge amplifiers and they set up on either side of them, and they have this tiny little PA system, and sometimes other artists bring in effects pedals and loop stations, and you see this array of wires like a grid beneath their feet. And I found that, you know, even though I've experimented with different effects pedals and I've brought other amplifiers before, I had a PV system that was really overkill. It's just more time setting up, and the residents want to see the show, and the quicker that you can get going with that minimal setup, the more easily you're allowed to start. The more easily you can build rapport with them and visit with them and take your time, versus constantly going to your briefcase and the floor and then testing things and looking at things. Oftentimes, as soon as I plug in my instrument cable to my guitar and I'm tuned up, we're ready to go. We're ready to play that first chord. So you don't need a whole lot of stuff. I used to bring a spare guitar, and there's a lot of things that you can't control that could happen. So that's why I bring systems of redundancies for my cables and batteries and a spare set of strings. Anything can happen. But when you're performing these shows, you want to put in as much preparation as you can and making sure that you have every possible backup that you need. And even if you pop a string, like I have done several times during the show, you have that spare set. You can talk with them and banter while you're setting it up and putting in the plugs and putting the string in and winding it up, and you can tune it up, and just a lot of stuff just seems to happen. So you don't need too much gear. You don't need to bring too much to every single show, and the quicker you start, the easier it is to build rapport with them and start playing the songs that make them smile and start playing the songs that make you feel good, and pretty soon you've got everybody in the same groove and everybody's having fun. I hope that you take a little bit of value from this information I've shared with you. It's drawn from a lot of experience of making so many mistakes, and this is the gear that works for me every single time. So have fun at your gig and go make the residents smile, and I'll see you in the next video.